Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second interview format that I'm doing on my channel. So we're going to have a lot of audio, but also we'll in just a few seconds we'll start. I'll start running a gameplay with the three people that are in this interview playing together. So without further ado, we have Mr. Scape on my channel today. How are you doing, Scape?
I'm doing good, Papakas. How are you, bud?
I'm fine. I'm really happy that you got into doing this interview. It's really great to have you here. And Scape, I would ask you to just talk a little bit about your channel. I mean, everybody knows you. Almost everybody that plays Mech Arena, but still, what could you say about you and your channel on Mech Arena?
Sure. I've been playing Mech Arena for a little while, since beta, and started making videos really because I didn't really see the kind of content I would want. Like when I start a game, I like to see guides and stuff that help me in the early game, especially. And there wasn't much of that. So I thought, hey, why don't I make some of this since it's not around? I always wanted to do a YouTube channel, and it picked up from there. And I've, been able to do that kind of stuff and help other people out with my channel. So
Yeah,
it's been a cool experience for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I can tell you, and this will lead to the other person that's here on voice with us. When I started looking at or searching for Mech Arena videos, the first things that I got were very bland in the sense that there were no voice. Sometimes there was some text explaining something. Otherwise, it was just gameplay or some footage. And then I ran into your videos, and I said, "Wow, this is the kind of stuff that I've seen for other games and that I've played and I've been interested in." And I was your channel was the first one that I subbed on Mech Arena because the content was different. There was stuff for me to learn there and entertain at the same time.
That's my goal. Always the
exactly.
goal. Entertain, but teach, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and to this point, we also have on the call Mr. Shish Kebaber. How are you, Shish?
Hey, doing all right. Glad to be here. How's it going?
It's all good. And I mean, Shish Kebaber was the main person that made videos for Boom Beach as far as I'm concerned. So this is the relation. When I started playing that game Boom Beach, I was mesmerized by Shish Kebaber's videos. I was learning a lot. Then we got to meet and we got to be friends, and we were playing Mech Arena as well. So Shish, do you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. So I do Boom Beach videos, particularly for the game mode of Warships. I have a YouTube channel, Shishkebobber1, and I like to play Mech Arena. Played it since beta. Big fan of Scapes as well, and just enjoy playing the game.
Yeah. Well, so I'll of course in the description of the video I'll have the links to both your channels. In Scape's case is a bit redundant because I don't believe there will be one person watching my video that doesn't know Scape, but of course I'll do it.
Oh, there'll probably be some. Come on. There might be.
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, my 379 strong might be new to you.
Hey, you're growing, man. You're growing.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, there could be crossover. Mayor's plugged Papakis, so I mean, there could be some crossover there. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, I did provide some footage to Mayor, so yeah, some of these people, so to speak, got to know me because of that, I guess.
Nice.
So, Scape, how did you start playing Mech Arena? In the sense that how did you find out about it and got interested in it?
Yeah, so a few years back. Well, I guess it was a few years back. Right now, it's 2, maybe probably 3. I don't know, somewhere in that time frame. I was looking for a new mech game. I had played War Robots before and tried a couple other ones, and those were okay. And I also had a different one that I was trying to find, and it wasn't showing up. It was called Metal Wars 3. It was more of like Mech Warrior or like Earth Siege or those kind of games where it had more of like a single player element to it.
Yeah.
But the developer was small, isn't around anymore. So I was like, all right, what other kind of mech games are there? And I found some lists of other ones that were coming up. And in one big list, I found this game, and I saw the pictures for it and thought of what it was and stuff. And I'm like, that looks really cool, but I've never heard of this one. And I found some videos online, and I'm like, okay, it looks even cooler now. I got to play this. And it wasn't in my area, so I had to make an account for either like the UK or Israel or something like that on the App Store to download and play it. And I just, I really liked it. I mean, the way they handled stuff was really good. In terms of like how the gameplay felt and everything was really good. And it just grabbed me. So I got into it. And then, of course, when you get into a game, you try to see what else is there online and what other guides or information you can find. And because it was very small at that point, there wasn't much. So that's kind of why I even started making content. Or just, the community was really small, and I just wanted this game to take off more. So I tried to help out. So
yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's great. And well, we all have been playing for at least since August, since the global launch. I mean, whoever had access to the beta, I didn't, because I was, in a country not eligible, in Portugal. But what is the thing that you still like the most playing Mech Arena?
Yeah, I would say the combat element of it. I mean, ever since I picked it up, I felt like it was clear, like how I was supposed to play it. The controls were tight. The way it felt was overall good. I also like third person style action versus first person. I don't know why. I just do.
Yeah.
So all of that really pulled me in. And then I also felt that the way they did the mechs and weapons was simplified. Some other mech games get really complicated with it. And I just thought they streamlined a lot of stuff. And I just really appreciated what they were trying to do with all of that. And that's still been a lot of the core of what I like about the game. Even though there's a lot of things that, I'm sure we'll talk about that have been, difficult. But hey, that's still the main part. They made a great core of a game, and I think that's still in there for sure.
Yeah, and you, Shish, what do you think about this? What do you like the most about this thing we've been playing for so many hours?
Yeah, I was attracted to the game much like Scape in a way. Like I wasn't searching for it directly, but I saw some of the first ads for it ever, and I was taken away by the graphics. I'm like, there's no way this is the in-game graphics, but oh no, it was. Usually they show you cutscenes and stuff like that. So I was just really impressed with the overall look and feel of the game when I first started playing. I had been playing Guns of Boom before that as a mobile first-person shooter. And this game actually had some more advancements and some more complexities over Guns of Boom. So I actually liked it for that reason, kind of opposite of what Scape was saying. Because, for instance, you've got a weapon on each arm. Guns of Boom, you were just switching weapons, but there it was on automatic fire all the time. You just put your crosshair over an enemy and it shoots automatically.
Yeah.
Here, you have to control that. So
exactly.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. This is the best that for you about the game, but Scape, if you could change a few things in the game, could you tell us what would you change?
Oh man, that is a big question, right?
Yeah.
There's probably a huge list of all the smaller things that I could do. So I'll try to generalize, right? Because I think these are some core issues. I picked three, so to try and boil it down that way. So and I'm going to go from 3 down to 1 in terms of the importance. So the third most important thing in my mind that they need to fix is the matchmaking and AI scenario that they have for matches right now. The way it is set up, it is heavily influenced by AI in every match and how the AI behaves and how many AI are in each match. I get when you first start a game and you're getting into it, you want AI to start and let you get comfortable in this new game, get your feet wet. But each of us have been well into this game, and most of us, will tell you, anybody in the game will tell you that it is dominated by AI in all the matches. So that part is insane. And in the same regard to that, that's partly related to the bigger issue of that point is matchmaking, right? So how people match together is a big problem because there's just either bad matchups or there's just no matchups, and it's you and everyone is AI. So that would be the first one that I would change. And there's lots of ways you could do that. I won't go into like how you could do that, but that would be my first one. Second would be I don't know how I guess I could say this coupling together, but the balancing and the economy. I feel like those are almost two separate things, but I'm kind of plugging them together just because I think they end up relying on each other. Just because the way the game is power creeping up right now and is favorable to those who are paying, it messes with the player base and how all the economy is run. And I know I'm mixing those two together, but that is a big core issue. And without going too much more into that, I would say that the economy and balancing related to all that.
Yeah, I'd say that's totally fair to mix it together. Just a case in point, that they did in their last post. I mean, they even say they're trying to achieve balance through the economy, essentially.
Exactly.
So I think it's part and parcel.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just that some people look at those terms differently, and I generally do, but I think, the way they have everything set up right now, they just intertwine so much. They're using the economy as a way to balance how all the players engage with each other. So, it creates a problem. So that would be my second one. But my first one, which if you're already saying those are already two biggies. My first, my biggest issue is their level of communication. That is like the biggest problem to me, because they don't really communicate well or hardly at all with anyone in the game. So any changes they make, anything they do to schedule for events, any ways they try to introduce new stuff, it's all poorly communicated. So we just usually have to figure out how it's supposed to work in the game. And when that happens, it just means that we're hopefully doing it in the way they intended. But if we're not, then how are we to know the difference? It's just bad. So.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Even not going into too many detail on it right now, we can address it later maybe. But the changes on the shop that just occurred and were presented as bonuses, whereas in terms of Acoins, you're getting less for the same amount of money. That's not a bonus in my book, but okay. But anyway, that was not communicated. That was not explained. It was just there. People started realizing, like, what the hell? What's this change? Is this a bug? Is it intended? And then it unleashed. It scaled in a very dramatic way in their Discord servers, like for 2 or 3 days. And I think with good communication, it wouldn't solve the problem. It would still be there. People might not like it, but if it was better presented, it would be.
No, but I mean, there's okay. Like, I guess this is a point. Even though it's still not their communication wasn't great, but if you think of beta, I don't know how far back you were here for this, Papacast. I know Shish was, but when they decided we're going to take away second copies of Mechs, they told us in advance. They said they were going to compensate us, and they also said you're going to have it for a couple of months. There was far more preparation for that kind of a change.
Yeah.
Whereas now that has been far less communicated. But even doing it back then, they still didn't like get on a video and explain why. Here's the balance change we need to do. I've been in other games where the developers get on and do a great job of explaining, like, look, I know this is a tough change, but here's why we need to do it for the future of the game and blah, blah, blah. They didn't really even do that when taking away second copies, but I feel like there was at least a little bit better communication then. Yeah. And this, obviously, there was none for this one, and that's why it was such a big deal. So,
Yeah, maybe because in the beta, their player base was not established yet. And now it is. So they just say, well, we got our customers, so we're changing this, deal with it. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
Far from it. But maybe that's the reason. They already have critical mass, and they're just doing what they want. I don't know.
It could be. I think, whenever you think of development cycles for games, they have runway for certain things that they have to do, right? So I would guess they had a certain level of, here's the developers, the focus and the money is on them to get the game where we want it to be. And they had those reins in beta, and you could see a difference between how the beta was run versus as soon as it went global. And it seems like it's changed hands into the sales department, right? They're hugely focused on the numbers and less on how the balance or the community is attached. Even though those things are part of the game, it still seems like that's, secondary or third or probably fourth or fifth on their list in terms of, importance. Which, I know they're a company, they have to make money. I get that, but I don't know how they're going to make money unless they consider their customer well. I mean, no business will do that, right? If you don't keep your customer happy, you lose business, right? So that's fundamental business stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
from my point of view, they got rid of all their programmers essentially since beta. All I've seen new to the game is artwork. They have no problem paying for new artwork, but paying for new code seems to be a problem. I mean, that's just my own observation. Like you said, they gave it over to the commercial department. It's much easier to hire some artists and make some stupid skins and throw them in the vault that no one cares about and put a big price tag on it. That's what we've seen. That's been the majority of the new content.
Right. Yeah. Right. And that's also back to what Pop Cos was saying. Like, this isn't new content. This is already taking the current code and system and just plugging in new weapons and skins and all that stuff, which is true. That's been the focus. I would venture that they probably, and that's also common for games, right? You get a massive amount of coders to first establish and create your game. Then you drop off like half of that staff, or maybe even more than that, once the core game is set. And then you just keep on those for like slowly adding or updating minor content elements. So that's still pretty common for that process.
Yeah. Well, I think those were great insights. I would also like to ask you, with all the new weapons and new mechs and that have been introduced, what do you have a favorite combo, like a setup, mech and weapons, or a few favorites? Doesn't have to be one, but if you have to select one or some, what would they be?
That's a good question. I will say one that I have enjoyed lately since I got into Max is Shadow with the Shotgun 8s. That's been a really fun one. Yeah. Getting in the sneak attacks, finding those people in the back with mortars especially is just really fun to do with that build. So I've liked doing that for sure. Yeah. And also I've enjoyed, I mean, Killshot is always such a great mech, but using that with the Disc Launcher 12s has been a space for me. And I know I also sometimes will put those disc launchers on my Ares, but Killshot has been, just a great opener with that kind of setup. Really flexible.
Well, before going to Shish Kebabber for the same question, I'm in that clan Prime, and we are not really like fundamentally against mortars, but we don't really like to use them a lot. We prefer the challenge of going against them. And so sometimes we would just go into tournament matches as a team. And when we were facing other human teams, we would have the F your mortars mode. Which everybody on kill shots, shadows, tengus, anything that was fast with, arc torrents, shotguns, missile racks, whatever. Yeah. But just rushing the mortar people, it was, I have to admit, it was really satisfying.
Oh yeah.
We could even imagine their faces like, what the hell? They're all over the place. How can I use my mortars now?
Yeah. It's so true. It's become a big fundamental element to some people's gameplay. So you can take it out.
Exactly.
It's great.
Yeah, sometimes after that they don't even know what to do next.
Right.
Like, I lost my mortars, and now they're in our spawn area. So
leave battle, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
What they do.
Exactly.
Well, that's usually the best thing to do. I mean, if I see a match with 5 other opponents, I'm not going to play that match. I'm leaving. I'm leaving instantly. Yeah.
Yo, that's
goes back to matchmaking, though. That goes back to matchmaking. Right?
Oh yeah.
When it's bad and it's you by yourself against 5 people.
Yeah.
Nope.
Like Scape, Scape and Shishka, I had a match today me solo against 4 players.
Oh.
And I played it because I was dumb.
I usually play too. I try.
I mean, listen, I was number 2 in terms of kills overall. So I didn't do badly. I have a very strong hanger. So yeah, I could hold it for a little bit. But then the humans started swarming me. In the second round, I did very little. So because they already knew that I could put up a fight. So they in the second round, I couldn't. It was just too much. So it is what it is. Shishk, I have a feeling that your response to this favorite setup will be slightly different than what Scape said, right?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends, but I mean, I think overall one of my favorites is like Railgun Mortar, probably with Panther. I like using the combination of the railgun and the mortar because then when players like Scape come to the back lines and find me, well, I've got a railgun staring them down too. So that's why I love doing them. It's actually a very tactical hybrid combo. I typically run it with the mortar pilot, and then I got her running the legendary railgun reload as another implant, and it's just great because it's the best of both worlds. I mean, if you're going to hide
Yeah.
from me shooting you with a railgun behind a box, here comes a mortar. And you know, if you don't want that mortar to hit you and you pop out from behind that box, oh, there's a railgun in your face. So
I was totally gonna guess the same build because the few times that I've got up against you when you do that kind of stuff, Shishk, that's one I see you commonly run.
Yeah.
So I'm aware of it now, but yeah, it's one of those builds that has somewhat been a casualty with pilots, but just because it's not necessarily optimized, but it is a great build. I've seen a lot of other people utilize that build. It's just very flexible all-rounder. Good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you do lose a bit of power because, the pilot cannot serve both the railgun and the mortar. But I've seen what Shish does, for example, to Lancer human players, which is mortar them. What do? They hop.
They
Right?
hop.
They jump.
And then they're in the air.
Already waiting for,
and then I
for
shoot
the
them.
hop. And then railgun to the face.
That's awesome. That's great.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I like shooting them out of midair, and I always know how to make them jump, right? That's the most beautiful thing about the combos because you really have control over your opponent, and it's psychological. And unless they're used to playing against someone like that, which they're not going to know how to handle. And as far as hybridization goes, yeah, really the railgun is the only weapon you could even consider hybridization on right now, simply because it already does enough damage on its own. A lot of extra damage is just overkill anyway, but that's the only one you kind of get away with. Otherwise, pilot all completely.
Oh yeah, all the other weapons need either range, radius, damage, whatever. We've talked about this. We are in complete agreement. I would just add one setup to the ones that you already said. That's for me. I mean, Shadow was always my favorite mech since I started playing him. I fell in love with him, with our torrents, even with javelins. I mean, I always loved Shadow. That's why I also have the gold skin for Shadow. I like him that much, enough to do 63 million autocannon damage for that achievement. So, but another mech that has been growing in terms of how fun it is to play for me, it's Tengu. Also with the shotguns, is just very mobile, very beefy. His ability is very, 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 all around. I mean, he jumps for mobility, then he stasis the opponents, and he gets on cloak, and it does damage. So it's really and he's fast enough to do that role. Not as fast as Killshot and Shadow, but in some maps he's brutal. He's really, really great and fun to play. Not just powerful, also very fun.
Yeah, he's one that I'm excited to play soon. I got mine, but I'm still slowly working it up. I think I'm at between 4 and 5 stars on it.
Oh well, it's moving along, right?
Yeah.
So now for a different topic. I mean, Escape, do you always call everything in the game by the name, or do you have any kind of nicknames or alternative names for it, like fun or otherwise, or not really?
I have not really. I don't do a ton of nicknames. I only have a couple different things that I would call nicknames. I can only think of three, right? So one is when the AI behaves in a weird way, like when they turn their back to you or turn around in circles. I just call that bot
Yeah.
shenanigans. Bot shenanigans. You know, so it's
Okay.
not really anything crazy for a nickname, but I have that one.
Yeah.
The good old one, the bug for the kill shot, which many people
Yeah.
call it the butter dash, because when the
The
kill
butter
shot
dash.
dashes, if it doesn't land where it should, like hitting a target and it slips right
Yeah.
by it, it's like it's covered in butter and it slips by
Yeah.
its target. So it was deemed butter
Yeah.
dash. So I use that one.
Yeah.
And then the only other one I think I've said is with autocannons, because we do it on our stream. Everybody wants to do at least one battle with autocannon 2s, so we call it the pea shooter or the pea shooter match that we do.
Yeah.
But that's it though. I mean, I don't have any crazy names for it. I don't know about you guys. What do you guys have? Do you have any weird names you use?
Shish, you want to go? I mean, you created them all, I think.
Oh, put this all on me now. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, so it just depends. Like, you know, you got certain weapons, like you got the disc launcher, well, aka the dick launcher. You've got Arc Torrent, aka Ass Tickler. Let's see. We've also got the Javelin 8. Now, this is just for the Javelin 8, not Javelin 6, not Javelin. The Javelin 8. That's the nipple shooter. Okay, that's the nipple shooter.
Yeah,
nice.
And I think for mechs, we don't call Lancer, we call it Hoppy.
Oh yeah, that's Hoppy.
That's fun. And Tengu sometimes, don't ask me why, I don't really know. Just because it sounds good. Tengu sometimes is promoted to Fungi. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I mean, because, you know, if you say fungi, it kind of looks more Japanese, or and you know that you know that skin that he has, you know, the skin that's really cool.
Yeah,
it is like a Japanese or something like that.
Right.
So sometimes it's fungi, but yeah, okay,
that's fun.
So yeah, it is. I think it's nice. I mean, people in my clan are now calling the disc launchers dick launchers, so that sticks.
So wait, what was the Javelin 8? It was the nipple launcher? Is that what it was?
Nipple shooter.
Nipple shooter.
Okay.
Just because of the art, you know.
Yeah,
I get it. You're firing one projectile.
I mean, if you want to go that route, I'd call them the Madonna gun or something like that. You know, if you wanted to. Something same kind of idea.
Yeah, those metal or whatever bras that she used in the past with you know big. Yeah.
I'm showing my age now. All right, maybe we should move on.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Moving on. So, I mean, we already went through this a little bit, and I mean, how do you think the game is right now, Scape? I mean, you already pointed out the things that you would change, but of course we all have opinions. But how do you think the game is right now? What's the temperature of the game, so to speak?
Well, how do we define temperature? Right? Is high like a good temperature or like bad temperature? I don't know how you're saying.
Yeah, temperature might not be the best definition, because sometimes high temperature is good, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. If you were scaling 1 to 10, 10 being good, 1 being bad. Oh man, we're at like a 3 or a 2 maybe. I mean, it's getting bad right now. It's pretty bad. I mean, the 3 things that I talked about, there's a lot under those, and those are big elements for any game. So if those are 3 big things that you're concerned about, I think you're in trouble, right? So and we're doing this, you know, we're at the end of April, and you guys and pretty much everybody who plays the game knows that they've just royally messed with the economy. And then after doing that, the community responded with basically saying, we're not spending any more money. We're going to boycott this. And, you know, they seem like they're scrambling to try and rectify the situation. But I don't know. I mean, this is I think there's a lack of understanding of what the community needs and what they need to do. And, you know, unless they can change a lot of that stuff and really get in line with what we're all understanding or asking for or needing, it's going to be bad. I mean, it is bad. So
yeah.
I think that's bad. No, you just opened the door for me, so I got to take it. I
Right
mean,
ahead.
yeah,
Right ahead.
I got banned on their Discord for saying the word boycott 2 days ago. I've
Yeah.
played this game for ages. I've committed like tons of ideas in their discussion forums and stuff like this. And they banned me because I'm upset with their decision for saying a word boycott. I said boycott, boycott, not spam, boycott, boycott. That's it. Right. And now I'm banned off their server. Can't even get back on there. All because they're heavy-handed policies. Sorry, but that's not cool in my book. But
Yeah.
that's just that's just
Totally
a
agree.
sign of so many problems that they have. I mean, they don't know how to treat their customers. I spent hundreds of dollars on this game. You need to listen to what I have to say. When I complained on their in-game system, their support system, I was given the same canned letter that everyone else got. Not the first
Oh
one
yeah.
you get, but the second one. The second one was the same canned letter that everyone else
Yeah.
got too. It's like, are you even listening? Is anyone listening? And then you go to Discord and they just shut you up and silence you. That is not the way to run a company.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that in a way, they're just looking for the same ways to do more money with new weapons, new whatever. But it's always new of the same thing. I don't know if I can explain myself. I mean, people have been begging for new game modes, for guild or clan functionality in the game,
Yeah.
and they addressed it in the last post. And what they said was pretty much, "Yeah, we know that you want it. We are gonna work on it, but not now.
Yeah.
We have other priorities." And my take, they didn't say this, is that their priority is the easiest ways to make money, as they've been doing recently.
Oh,
So,
of course. See, here's
yeah.
okay. So there's two sides to the coin of clans, and it was very underhanded for them to mention it in that post. I gotta say, but the
Mm.
the issue with clans is that it's a fundamental coding element that probably needs to change how they do all of the chat system, DMs, how they have lobby and other functions and stuff like that for getting matches. So that is
Yeah.
a significant item to add, and I understand that, even if we're
Mhm.
talking about the base function of clans. But I had a call with them, like in one of my old videos, where we were actually on the discussion talking with two people from their team, and they mentioned clans then as something that, they're in early development stages. It sounds like they're still in early development stages. This was like a
Yeah.
year ago when we discussed it,
Yeah.
and it sounds like they haven't even touched it, not even at
Yeah.
all. And that's the concerning part. They know how much everybody wants it, but yet they still focus on all the low-hanging fruit that's just going to make them money without addressing important community things. And honestly,
Yeah.
I understand that clans probably don't have an obvious ROI or return on investment, just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
weapons and mechs do. But we all know that like clans are what forces competition and what will get spenders to spend more to
Yeah.
stay competitive with other high-end players. So
Exactly.
it is
Exactly.
hugely important to your revenue stream. And I don't know why they don't prioritize that more, just because I think that,
I have
without
an
it,
idea.
you're going to have a problem. Go ahead.
Well, one of the I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, no,
One of
good.
the functions of clans and all these types of organizations and games is because it incentivizes recidivism. It incentivizes you to come back to the game and play because not only do you have a responsibility to yourself, you now have a
Mhm.
responsibility to others.
Yeah.
And so when games are designed properly or well, they will impose that responsibility upon you such that you want to keep coming back to the game. But that's
Yeah.
because the game values your time on their system and they need you there, presumably because they're using you in matchmaking to match with other players. That is not the case in Mech Arena
Yeah.
because we match with bots. So
Right.
I don't think they actually
Yeah.
value us being on their servers. I think it comes down to that.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you that some people in our clan, there are still clans outside the game, organized outside the game in Discord and whatever platforms, but just no functionality in game.
Yeah.
So, in some people in our clan, everybody was like with the pilots and the implants, they got like over 6,000 hanger power, and some people were like high 4,000s, low 5,000s, and they started investing in the game because when we did matches against other teams, especially, if they were to participate, they would underperform, not because they were not skilled, but the hanger power is what it is. If you're facing purple things with yellow things, you're probably gonna die. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. I mean, the other day I played against three guys. One of them is on my friends list, and they were around like 1,500 to 2,500 hanger power, and I'm almost 6,500. And I played them alone against the three, and no skill from my part. I'm not saying I'm good, but the fact of the matter is, when I played my jug, they couldn't kill it. It's as simple as that. I killed them too fast. They couldn't hardly do any damage. So even if they were being really, really skilled, and I think they did some good moves, but the power gap is just too big.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, well, I mean that's normal for any game like this too. I mean, it would be the same in any other game if you're starting with a level 3 character against a level 60.
Yeah,
there's just too big a gap there. But yeah, to the point of like, you guys probably experience the same thing over at Prime when it's just like, oh, we're gonna play against this clan this weekend. You guys will say, all right, is there anything I need to upgrade? Like you will think about changes you need to make in your hanger that week, and spend money sometimes to be able to prepare for that match. I know our guys have done that too in No Mercy. So that's again like incentivized, and Shish Kebabber's right. It brings people back to the game. It gets them locked into the community. It grows roots. So you don't just like up and leave the game, and it gets you to spend money. I mean, there's just no way to do that. I mean, that's why I've always been a guy who's about explaining the game and building the community so that people feel welcome to come in and then enjoy the game, as opposed to trying it, not understanding it, and then just walking away.
Exactly. Yeah. So, guys, about this pretty much covers what's going on. I mean, we could talk about many, many, many more things about how the game is running, but then we would be here all day. So we want to keep this to an acceptable length. So Scape, what I know you're not psychic, neither am I or Shishk, but how do you see this game evolving or going? What do you think will happen in light of all the the turmoil that's happening, especially in the past few days? What do you envision for the game for the next few months or so? If there's something that you can think about, because it's hard to imagine.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I know that when it's hard for me not to do this, but when we look at like another example, which is War Robots, that a lot of people in this community know about, because that got super pay heavy, very hard for free to play to survive. And when that was happening, this game was just starting on the rise. So everyone left that game to come to this game. All right. So now this game is starting to become very pay heavy, very difficult to deal with and be able to, reasonably do, which is even worse in my mind, because they're starting to mess with their paying players, which is crazy to me. So I don't know. There's just a lot of things that they need to fix. I don't know if they can. And I don't know if they'll, going to have this kind of, community to stay with the game. I do think that there are some people who don't care and they're fine spending the money and they'll stay. And I do think that if they change certain things, maybe some will stay. I have a fear that a lot of people will leave to play other games, and they may have a completely different community around this game. And I don't know what that will be, though. I don't think it'll be, that great. I don't know. It's very hard for me to tell, because, I mean, sometimes when this happens, a company does a lot to change things and it can get better. I know actually War Robots had made some changes and some people are actually preferring that to this game, which is funny. Considering they left that one. But not that one's all roses either. I think that one still has a lot of issues, as probably other people could tell you. But if they made enough changes here and people stayed, that'd be great. I just think there's way too much they have to do, and I don't know if they can do it realistically within a good time and within a good budget for what they probably have. So I hate that news, but I feel like that's realistic. Exactly.
And I mean, before going to Shish, the thing that I as a player, and I've paid heavily on this game, it's no secret, I would accept some of their mistakes and some of the problems, or even all of them, if there was clear communication of an honest effort to fix the biggest issues we have now. But I don't think that will ever happen. The communication will not be there, and I don't even know if they're interested in addressing the kind of issues we've been talking about.
Yeah.
That's my concern. What about you, Shishk?
Well, the one thing I can say for certain, and I mean, you guys raised a lot of good points, and there's a lot of uncertainty, but one thing's for sure, in the next few months, what you can expect from this game is more mortar carnage. Like, there's just going to be mortars raining down from the skies. Like, what I found so funny in their last post was how they're going to address this balance, and it's not by nerfing mortars or disc launchers, it's by buffing other weapons. I'm trying to think, what are they going to do? Like, I mean, what are they going to do? Like, make arc torrents have a range of 120 meters now? I mean, I don't understand how that's going to work, but it's going to be hilarious to watch them try.
Yeah. The arc torrents could have that range and go through walls, maybe, because the mortars are usually behind walls and stuff like that.
Right? Yeah.
I mean,
but no, for sure, we will have mortars. I can guarantee.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
One of the recent videos that I did was on a 5v CPC match with Federal Soul and other people I didn't know, and it was on that snow map. I don't recall the name of the map,
Patterson,
but it's this. Yeah, exactly. And so what did I do? I went with my kill shot with missile racks. I went printing to the center, and I got it. I was lucky enough not to be spotted straight away. But the moment I get the control point, I was gonna dash out, right? Because it's done. Now you have to protect it. And then you see, like, I think 6 mortar shots coming my way. Okay, I know what's going to happen. I dodged 1 or 2, then I died. This is that's another story, but I think the mortars are a bit too much.
Yeah, well, that's common also in the high-level games now. People used to rush to center. Now it's a dance game at the center where people. I've seen matches for the first half of the match, at least, on high-end CPC games, the center stays neutral, because people don't want to go there knowing that they're going to be spotted and then shot by mortars. So they have to either try to take it or move away or do something, to try and deal with that. Yeah. It's crazy.
Exactly.
And I agree to a certain degree with what Shishk is saying here. I think there's always 2 different philosophies for how you handle certain elements in games. Some people will say buff and nerf. Some people say that, you should nerf things so that the power creep doesn't go up. Other people say you're establishing the line of power creep, so if you bring everything up to the same line, nothing is creeped. So I understand the philosophy behind that, and I think they fear if they nerf those things, people have spent too much money on and make them matter. But they've created their own hole here, all right? So, you have to either buff everything else to get it to the same level, which is a lot more work than trying to nerf just a couple of weapons. Or do it the way they're doing it. So I don't know. I agree. I think you're still going to see mortars just because they're very effective, and maybe we'll see other weapons that are better. I have no idea, but it depends on how creative they get. So I'm interested to see what it is, but I think Shish is probably right with all that.
Yeah. I'm sure Shishk is right, because I mean, I had never played War Robots, but I guess it's kind of what happened. New weapon would be introduced. It would be the best weapon. And then, like, weeks later, it would be either nerfed or replaced by something else much more powerful. So, people that paid money for that first weapon, then a few moments later, it would not be that great anymore. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to nerf. Actually, what they would need to do is to nerf a little bit the radius implants, not the weapon itself.
Yeah.
The weapon is fine. The implants are just silly.
It was the pilots. It was the pilots.
The pilots and implants.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, also the way pilots are done too, it favors the weapon and to a certain degree the mech, but we're in an HP deficit in this game. Like, everything is too powerful. Everything can kill things too easily. So I guess one way you could try to rectify that is boost HP for, you know, I don't want to say universally, but maybe like 25 to 30%,
Maybe.
so that when you
Yeah.
get hit by those big weapons, you're not instantly dead. That's possible, but
Exactly.
I don't know if that's really solving the situation. It's a
Yeah, but
kind of
it would
band-aid,
help.
but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think about that late or recent buff on Stalker, he got the same HP as Ares.
Oh, that's crazy.
It is, but my experience so far, that doesn't really matter that much. He's still gonna die because the power, like you were saying, the damage on stuff around him is so big, and without a shield or anything like that, you're gonna die anyway. You'll last a little bit more,
Yeah.
but it's not gonna make a big difference. So unless there's like a, you know, something done generically on all the mechs, it is true. The offensive side is much bigger than the defensive HP.
Yeah, but
whatever.
I guess the point that bothers me about the whole buff with Stalker is you're not necessarily eliminating his Achilles heel entirely, but
Yeah.
you've now put him in tank class HP. Now, okay, so
Oh yeah.
Ares and Stalker now both die to mortars, you know? So that's
Yeah.
whatever. But if that already happened with Stalker before, why does he also get a buff to deal with other instances when mortars would kill him?
Exactly.
You know? It just seems like a weird place to buff, except
Yeah.
for the fact that they had deals going on and they want people to buy Stalker and then do this
Of
specialization
course.
sprint. So
Yeah, you beat me
it
to
goes back to money, you know? That's really what it is.
That's exactly why it was buffed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They did the
And-
same
and I
thing
mean,
with
it's-
long arm 12s, and they'll probably do that with other stuff that comes out. They'll buff it
Oh, yeah.
after they do their, you know, certain crate rushes and stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be honest, none of the things that was buffed really needed a buff
Yeah.
by themselves. Because if you think about weapons, well, I'm not even going to go to weapons because there's so many bad weapons in the game that nobody uses. But even mechs, if you're going to buff somebody's HP, what about Surge?
Oh yeah.
What about
Yeah.
Redox?
Mhm.
Even Brickhouse, because Brickhouse is the tank without a shield.
Yep.
So shouldn't he have more HP? Because he's not really a tank, you know, in practical terms. He's a support mech.
All he is
Just
is
a
a
fat
liability, in my opinion. He's just,
Yeah,
his body is
yeah.
too big, he's too slow, and he doesn't have
Yeah.
enough HP to justify it. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like Shish told me early in the game. Don't forget that if you're playing Arachnos, which has the same speed as Brickhouse, if you see a mortar coming your way, just you know, do your prayers and drop the turret and shoot something because you're gonna die in like 1 or 2 seconds. There's no way you're gonna dodge that thing, unless you have cover, of course. But if you don't, you're dead. So yeah, he's a liability. But well, this is getting quite long. Let's move on to the last item we have, which is not making any prognosis about Mech Arena and the future. We already talked about it. Do you plan, Scape? Do you plan to start playing other games as well? Doesn't mean leaving Mech Arena, but you know, other things that might be in the future for you.
Yeah, I have thought a lot about that, and I've tried various games, and I have a couple that I've been into that I plan on making content for. So
Oh,
I will say the names just because I don't know for sure when and what I'm going to do for any of these, but I'll let
Yeah.
you know, so you guys can play and other people can pick it up if they want to too. If they're
Yeah.
able to. They're early stages of the game, so I don't know how much are in app stores, but one of them is called Torchlight Infinite.
Mhm.
And that's more of like an RPG like hack and slash game, similar to like the
Yeah.
Diablo games that a lot of people know of.
Yeah.
And very cool game. I mean, it has its own flavor and different from the Diablo games, but it's also been a well-known game. And I'm actually in the partner program with that one.
Oh, nice.
And the closed beta is going to be starting very soon. So it's one that
Okay.
anybody can get involved in. And then I don't know when they're actually releasing it, but that one seems like it's going to be really fun. And the other one is more of just like a competitive PvP type game, and it's called T3 Arena. And
Okay.
it's a 3 versus 3 type of thing. It's interesting. It feels like a mixture between Brawl Stars and Overwatch, right? So the combat and everything feels like Overwatch, but the interface and some of the way they deal with like the progression path feels like Brawl Stars. But overall, both games, like, you know, I mean, I'm not going to go into pitching these games, but they feel far more user friendly and free to play friendly. And that's a huge part of how they do things that I think stands out from, you know, the space we're in right now with Mech Arena. But
yeah.
But those are a couple that I've been thinking of. And aside from that, I don't know if you care about other projects, but I've been very slowly working on like the idea and recording some podcast stuff with somebody else about some gaming and life stuff. So you know, if that surfaces or when that surfaces, I'll probably make an announcement about that too. So
okay, sounds great. What about you, Shishk?
Oh yeah, future games. Yeah, like Diablo Immortal. I was in the second closed beta on that one. Had a pretty good time playing that. I look forward to it on the launch. Super affordable game. You're not going to go broke playing it and having a good time. Another one on the horizon that I'm keeping an eye on that I'll probably definitely be playing. It's a game kind of similar to Brawl Stars as well. Is Boom Beach Frontlines. It's the next iteration of Boom Beach, made by a subsidiary of Supercell, and this game looks really cool. It's got all the things that Brawl Stars had in terms of just the view and the play control, 2 joysticks, but then it's got like another layer of extra goodness where you've got this gunboat energy mechanic that you have to balance as well. It's like a currency mechanic, almost like Elixir in Clash Royale, and you get to build structures or vehicles to help you in your assault against the opposing team. It's a pretty cool game. It's got a lot of potential, Boom Beach Frontlines. So you'll find me in one of those 2 games going forward, probably. I'll still be playing Mech too, but you know, we like to venture out.
Yeah, I mean, as for me, it's gonna be Diablo Immortal. I'm not saying I'm gonna drop Mech Arena or not try anything else, but I mean, I'm an old-ish guy. I'm almost 50. So I've been playing Diablo and Fallout since the 90s. I played since the first title of each of those franchises, and now they're bringing Diablo to mobile. So how can I not try it?
And I'll tell you, I have been looking at that one too, and that's partly how I ended up finding Torchlight. I just think, I think Torchlight may be out soon, Diablo Immortal. So that's why I've kind of been looking at it, but I definitely want to check that one out too. I mean, how can you not, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it looks like a PC game inside of a mobile.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And it's the release date, there's still, I mean, there's the game has been in development for several years now. Right. And they have postponed it quite a few times. But they're advertising for the game right now. So they're still maintaining the date to be end of June max. So it should be soon. I mean, we're in April. Should be like 2 months or something like that, if all goes well. And yeah, I'll be trying it for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, I think it covers everything that we wanted to talk about. So I think I'll wrap it up by thanking you, both of you, for being here and having this wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks. And
I was just going to say thanks for having me. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Scape. And the same to you, Shishk. I had a great time.
More so for Scape, but yeah, it was great. Glad to be a part of this. Yep.
Oh yeah, it was really fun, and I think it might shed some light on some issues that, about things that are going on.
It's a 2-hour-long interview. Yeah, it should be cool. All 5 people that make it to the end. And shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Exactly.
Extra brownie points.
Thanks a lot for being here, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Okay. Bye bye.